Howdy, howdy out there in podcast land. Today, we're going to talk about chiropractic residencies. Oh, yeah. Fat cat drug dealers. Oh, I got a lot of stuff on them. Osteoporosis and yoga. And we're also going to talk a bit about some pain facts. You're going to find something for everyone in this episode. So just sit back, enjoy a cornucopia of tasty knowledge nuggets. Okay, here we go. But first, that bubblicious bumper music. Okay, all right, we are back. Welcome to the podcast today. I'm Dr. Jeff Williams. I'm your host of the Chiropractic Forward podcast. Easy for you to say, that barely even can podcast. You have skipped gleefully right into episode number 75. We're here to advocate for chiropractic while also making your life just a little bit easier. And we use research and some good, solid common sense and some smart talk. At least I hope. I'm not afraid to make fun of myself, so mostly smart talk. How about that? F4CP. Let's talk a little bit about F4CP. They have launched an Athletes and Opioids ebook. You've heard us talking about it a little bit, and it is called A Case for Chiropractic, Disrupting the Cycle of Pain, Prescriptions, and Addiction. I'm linking it in the show notes. Go check it out. See what you think. Might be something you can use in your office. On to the DACO. DACO meaning Diplomat of the Academy of Chiropractic Orthopedists. As y'all know, I've been going through it. I'm already through all of the hours. I freshened up some of the info on BPPV, benign paroxysmal positional vertigo. Just kind of refreshing my memory while going back through the drills and reviewing the materials. Did you know that 85% to 90% of BPPV is caused by the particles drifting off into the posterior canal, semicircular canal? Epley maneuver is the best technique to take care of it when it's in the posterior semicircular canal. Now, as a side note, if you want to sound really smart, those particles are actually called otoliths until they move or drift into one of the semicircular canals. And when they do that, at that point, they go from being called an otolith to a canalith, I guess, probably because they're in a canal. So canalith, it makes sense to me. It almost sounds like you have a speech impediment when you say otolith, canalith, but that's the way it goes. Now, Epley maneuver knocks out BPPV of the posterior canal in about 85% of cases. Isn't that outstanding? You look like a damn magician when you do it. A miracle worker. However, if it does not knock it out, you better start looking at the horizontal canal, which makes up 10% of BPPV cases. Or check for the anterior canal, which is even smaller than that, very small percentage. But for those other two, horizontal and anterior canal, there's other head maneuvers that you need to be trying in those instances. So, you're either going to have to get smarter at that point or refer out to a specialist. When they're in a different canal, they can get a bit nasty. So, now, on to some stuff about me, as if you give a damn. I have to tell you, 2019 has been a bit of a freak year for growth around here, and I mean absolutely insane. April was record-breaking month for me personally. As you might have heard me talk about this in past episodes, or more recent episodes anyway, since Christmas and beyond. We're looking at bringing in an associate to help us with the load. The thing you worry about is it a fluke? And we slowed down to the point that we don't need any really extra hands on deck, and now I'm stuck with an associate. You worry about that stuff. And I don't move into anything quickly or without a lot of thought. I will slow foot it until I am certain. But even if it did slow up a bit, an associate should be there to help grow the practice rather than just take some heat off the owner, right? And these are the thoughts keeping me busy at the moment. And I'm sure I'm not the only one out there thinking them either. I'm sure plenty of you guys and girls have been going through all of that as well. Now, if you have any comments or suggestions, shoot them to me at dr.williams@chiropractic4.com. Any comments with associates and good ways of setting up an associate, paying an associate, not going broke, but also being very fair to an associate. Our profession is known for eating and swallowing and burping up its own, and that's not something I'm interested in. I'm a good guy. I want to be fair. But also, I want that to work both ways, good and fair. So anyways, share your ideas with me, dr.williams@chiropractic4.com. Email. Maybe we'll share it in a future podcast. It might be an interesting topic if I get enough information back. So let's get to the good stuff here. Item number 1. Our first item is called Establishing a Residency Program for a Chiropractic Specialty in a Public Hospital System. Experiences from Denmark. This paper was written by O'Neill et al. And published in the Journal of Chiropractic Education in April of 2019. And as you may guess, this one has to do with establishing a residency program for chiropractors in Denmark, just as the title mentions. So the paper describes experiences and lessons from a 5-year postgraduate hospital-based residency program. Did you catch that? 5 years. 5 years of residency. So I got one word and 2 syllables. Damn.
You need to grow up.
I mean, damn. That is a long time to be doing a residency. My goodness. Now, 3 pilot programs were done between 2009 and 2016. And what they decided so far is that there needs to be some improvement to the structure and the content, but that they're on the right track for sure. And wouldn't you agree? I mean, how much better would we be individually and as a group if we had a year or 2 of residency in a hospital setting? I mean, wow, our profession would be in a completely different space right now. And that is a guarantee I don't mind making. You want a 100% guarantee? Bam. Slap. There it is. I just stamped it right on your forehead. That is a guarantee that our profession would be leaps and bounds beyond where it's at right now if we had residency programs. And while I'm sure students aren't real quick to jump on the idea, I wouldn't when I was a student either. You know, I'm ready to get out. But just imagine the network you'd build while doing your residency, the connections, the learning going forward. The benefits of residency programs throughout the globe are just absolutely endless. And I'd love to see our profession move in that direction sooner rather than later. I know a couple of schools have started this in America, and I believe in Canada, but I'm not sure which ones and to what extent just yet. If you have that info, shoot it to me. I'd love to hear it. That might be something else we talk about in the future if I get some more information on it. Now, moving on, item number 2. Let's move on to Fat Cat Drug Dealer, right? A.K.a. John Kapoor, Kapoor, the owner of Insys Therapeutics. His claim to fame, what would that be? His claim to fame, forevermore, amen, is that he is the first pharmaceutical boss to be convicted in a case linked to the U.S. opioid crisis, according to an article in the BBC News. Quote, a Boston jury found Kapoor and 4 colleagues conspired to bribe doctors to prescribe addictive painkillers, often to patients who didn't need them. The former billionaire was found guilty of racketeering conspiracy for his role in a scheme which also misled insurers. Ooh, we can't do that. Why the hell would he be able to? I guess the more money you get, the more untouchable you think you are. And in some cases, you're right, especially those politicians. Here's another quote from the article. The court heard that Kapoor, who was arrested in 2017 on the same day that President Donald Trump declared the opioid crisis a national emergency, ran a scheme that paid bribes to doctors to speak at fake marketing events to promote subsys, end quote. And they say chiropractors are goofy, have weird ideas, or, not responsible or whatever. All right. There is more to the article, but that's good enough for our purposes. I have to say, though, it's hard for me to get excited about somebody going to jail for up to 20 years. But I'm also going to say, in this case, give me a hell yeah and amen. And why don't you get more time? I mean, really, when you consider this dude contributed to over 72,000 opioid-related deaths in one freaking year, why isn't he getting life in prison, huh? Can I get an amen? Life in prison? And, here's the deal. This dude looks like a fat crypt keeper, like an unsavory Mr. Scrooge. He fits the part perfectly. I don't know how anyone can get in this dude's corner. Seriously, terrible. Just a terrible person. Good riddance. And if someone ever deserved to be worth $1.8 billion and then lose it and go to prison, it's someone like this knucklehead. I'm not against medication. Hell, I'm not even against opioids when absolutely necessary and with close oversight. Medication certainly has its place, but not when it's done like this guy did it. Good riddance. Take out the garbage. Item number 3. This next item is called 11 Important Things to Know About Pain. It was written by, get ready, I'm going to just slaughter this name. I'm going to chop it up into pieces and hide the body. It was written by Nick Ethemu. He is an osteopath, and it was published on April 30th of 2018, so just a little over a year ago. Published in Integrative Osteopathy and cited in the show notes. I mentioned a week or so ago that pain has really started to move into my headspace in a way that it never did before going through the DACO program. Pain plays a big part in the DACO, and as a result, I find myself more and more fascinated with the topic. And I love the way the article suggests that we know more about pain typically than our patients know, and it's hard to convey that information effectively. So they suggest we use concrete language rather than abstract language. We use examples that relate well to us or to the patient, and we repeat the key concepts until they stick with the patient so that there's no misunderstanding. Now, number 1, we're going to go through them 1 through 11. Number 1, pain doesn't equal tissue damage. Pain doesn't equal tissue damage. He says this is the most important thing to understand about pain. He says there are countless examples of people experiencing tissue damage and not feeling any pain at all, and vice versa. Now, number 2, pain is protective. Oh, don't we know that? And whether it's protective of an injured body part or protective of a threat to our body is our brain's concept of self-pain. It's a biological process that is meant to keep us safe. Here's number 3. Pain is produced by the brain and localized to the body. Our brains produce a conscious experience based on input from the sensory nerves. Nociception is noise from the body. Sensory nerves that respond to thermal, mechanical, or chemical stimulation are constantly sending signals to the spinal cord. And most of this gets blocked because it's just that, right? It's just noise from the nociceptors. However, when those nerves are stimulated to a greater degree, they trip the trigger point, right? Think like an injury or contacting a hot surface, something like that. Well, then your brain becomes aware of the change to the noise levels. Your brain, not knowing exactly what is going on, is going to respond by producing pain and will decide to protect the area where the increased nociception is coming from. To make matters even more complex, we can have pain in the absence of nociception. So you can think of amputees with phantom limb pain. I'm telling you, the further you dive off into pain, the more fascinating it gets. Now, number 4, chronic pain is different than acute pain. Acute pain is usually a response to either a tissue injury or other immediate threat. It subsides as the injury or threat subsides, right? Now, chronic pain is a result of changes to the nervous system, which make it more sensitive. You probably heard me talk about sensitization or upregulation of the central nervous system, and you're going to hear more about that in coming episodes, especially this summer. Now, this means the nervous system and brain become hyperprotective, generating pain with little or no provoking stimulus at all. If something is wrong with the central control room, then everything linked to it, which is everything, can be affected. Now, number 5, recurrent pain and multi-site pain are both forms of chronic pain. So both recurrent pain and multi-site pain are forms of chronic pain and need to be managed like that. Often, multi-site pain starts as a single site and then progresses to multi-site chronic pain. Lots of times it's a shoulder and then the associated elbow starts hurting. Sometimes it's your right shoulder, and for no reason at all, your left shoulder will start getting tweaked here and there. That's what they're talking about. Now, number 6, pain is never simple, even when it seems like it is. So pain is not linear, as in this happened and now this hurts. It is more of what you could call emergent. So an emergent process is when 2 or more things combine to form something that doesn't share the properties of the things that made it up. I know. It's fascinating, though. Because of this and all the invisible and unconscious factors that contribute to us experiencing pain, we can never say that pain is simple, ever. Number 7, pain is not caused by poor posture, weak muscles, or being out of alignment. Some of you are going to disagree right there. It actually, many times, it's just the reverse. Meaning, poor posture is more likely caused by pain, and poor posture is adopted many times as a defensive mechanism against pain. So, bam, kaboom. I can see minds exploding just a little bit across the listenership. Kapow.
Unbelievable.
Well, I got to tell you, it's true, though. Now, number 8, osteopaths and other practitioners do not fix pain. Fix being in quotes there. We don't fix pain. When it comes to pain, the resolution lies within the body of the patient and the brain of the patient. Even pain-relieving drugs can only work if it's in the right context. Morphine doesn't always help, while sometimes a placebo pill works better than the real thing. Pow, snap. More exploding heads. I just feel it. Now, number 9, everything can work. So work in quotes again. Everything can work. There are claims from therapists, doctors, and other kinds of healers about all kinds of treatments for all kinds of pain. It's likely all of these people have numerous success stories to confirm that what they do works. And it's my profession too. This is not a bad thing. It's actually the goal of many therapies, right? The problem comes when interventions are sold in misleading ways. For example, they are sold as doing something unrealistic or impossible. Yeah, I know some pretty wacky chiropractors. Of course, let's be fair. I know a lot of wacky medical practitioners as well, so I'm not bashing on my own kin here, my own brethren. Number 10, inflammation is a good thing. Inflammation is the body's way of healing. Yes, it can be painful, but pain is a protective response. And you know what needs protecting? Injured tissues. That's not to say you need to completely rest an injured tissue, by the way. It is simply saying that suppressing inflammation, particularly with drugs, may impair and delay healing, and stop with icing stuff all the time. They also say, though, chronic inflammation is not a good thing and should be managed differently than acute inflammation. Number 11, how you live is more important than what you do. What is most important, particularly for sufferers of chronic pain, is living well despite your pain. Healthy lifestyle habits contribute to healthy bodies and brains. Now, that was all 11 of them. Go back, review them. They all make sense, and this stuff lines up with the DACO perfectly. It's crazy. The folks that generated the DACO information, Dr. Anthony Nicholson and Dr. Matthew Long in Australia, they could have written this article. I mean, word for word. In fact, before I got to the end of the article and finally saw the name of the author, I actually emailed the article to Dr. Nicholson asking him if it was him that wrote it. And he sent me back an email laughing, and he said no, but he can definitely see why I thought that, because, I mean, it's almost word for word. Now, last item, number 4. One more very short one. This one is called Soft Tissue and Bony Injuries Attributed to the Practice of Yoga, a Biomechanics Analysis and Implications for Management. Authored by Lee et al. And published in Mayo Clinic Proceedings, March 2019. Here's the conclusion. We'll just get straight to it. Quote, yoga potentially has many benefits, but care must be taken when performing positions with extreme spinal flexion and extension. Patients with osteopenia or osteoporosis may have a higher risk of compression fractures or deformities and would benefit from avoiding extreme spinal flexion. Physicians should consider this risk when discussing yoga as exercise. That is news you can use, people. I do hope you enjoy this show as much as I enjoy bringing it to you. It's a blast. Do us a favor and tell somebody, won't you? We want to grow this dude. We want the roof to just blow off of this sucker. Now, this week, I want you to go forward with these points. Number 1, establishing a chiropractic residency program for every school really ought to be priority number 1 for the school, for the student, for the patients, and for the profession.
That feels really powerful.
Drug dealers usually get what they have coming to them, and it doesn't matter how much money they have. Number 3, chronic pain is a beast, although it is a fascinating beast. And number 4, don't do any crazy yoga if you have osteopenia or osteoporosis. Now, here's the message. Like every week, I want you to know with absolute certainty that when chiropractic is at its best, you cannot beat the risk versus reward ratio. You know why? Because spinal pain is primarily a movement-related pain and typically responds better to movement-related treatment rather than chemical treatments like pills and shots. And when compared to the traditional medical model, research and clinical experience show that many patients get good or excellent results through chiropractic for things like headaches, neck pain, back pain, joint pain, and that's just naming a few. Chiropractic care is safe and cost-effective. It can decrease instances of surgery and disability, and chiropractors normally do this through conservative, non-surgical means with minimal time requirements or hassle on the part of the patient. And if the patient develops a preventative mindset going forward from initial recovery, chiropractors can likely keep it that way while raising the general overall level of health of the patient. Now, the key point is, though, if you can't remember anything else, is that patients should have the guarantee of having the best treatment offering the least harm, and that's chiropractic, people. Send us an email at dr.williams@chiropractic4.com. Let us know what you think of the show, or tell us your suggestions for future episodes. Feedback and constructive criticism is a welcome blessing, and so are subscribes and excellent reviews on iTunes and other podcast services. Y'all know how it works in 2019. If you like something, you better support it, share it, and talk about it. Now, we can't wait to connect with you again next week from the Chiropractic 4 podcast flight deck. This is Dr. Jeff Williams saying upward, onward, and forward. Be sure to find me on social media sites such as Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and YouTube. While you're at it, give us a thumbs up on YouTube. That's super simple. Be sure and visit chiropractic4.com give our podcast a listen. Lots of wonderful, wonderful information there. And as always, thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.